Welcome to Olympian Water Testing, giving you the best in water analysis. Today we are looking at the NIH, National Library of Medicine, lead toxicity in older adults. We have the abstract here, which I will break down. But basically, it's coming to the point where older adults have had more potential exposures to lead. That's because they were using a lot of lead lines. There was a lot of older fixtures and pipes, and they didn't have the knowledge of lead toxicity back then. And the EPA before 1986 didn't really push the Safe Water Act, so people were exposed to lead, especially older generations, 1970s, 1980s. And maybe even going forward. They have been exposed to lead while working in unregulated occupations. They may have encountered more lead in the environment on a daily basis, and that can come from water, air, or soil. And several large epidemiological studies have found that older people have higher blood and bone lead levels than younger adults. And additionally, sporadic clusters of acute lead exposure among older adults as a result of activities such as ceramic glaze hobby work, the consumption of moonshine whiskey continue to be reported. And after lead enters the body, it circulates in the blood, reaching the soft tissues and the bones. And researchers have learned that lead can hibernate within the bones for decades. So maybe you're older and you say, I don't really feel any exposure to lead. As we talk a lot about children, it can have really severe effects quickly. But maybe adults don't notice it as much, especially people who worked in the industries or consumed that type of moonshine. They might not feel it. However, it could be in the bone for decades. They're not noticing it. Although lead within the bone is uncertain of toxicity to bone tissue, conditions of bone reabsorption, such as osteoporosis, can cause bone lead to re-enter the bloodstream, or can re-expose the soft tissue and potentially exert delay or deleterious effects. And evidence is emerging that blood and bone levels reflecting the relatively modest exposures are associated with hypertension, renal insufficiency, and cognitive impairment. It could be things like dementia or Alzheimer's. And medical treatments that now exist to slow the rate of bone reabsorption may maintain lead within bones. Ongoing studies evaluating the relationship between the body lead stores and both cognitive and renal impairment, as well as potential modifying effects of bone reabsorption, will help determine whether bone reabsorption should be slowed down specifically to preserve organ function, and physicians should be aware of potential present lead exposures among their older patients. An ongoing lead exposure should be prevented in the future in terms of osteoporosis, and it may be undertaken not only to improve bone health, but to improve mobilization of bone, lead stores, and subsequent toxicity. You can find all of the citations here at the NIH, but basically breaking it down is older adults may not even know that they have lead problems, and they may not even know where it came from as they worked in different industries, or they drank water with lead pipes or lead particles. And as we can see, it leads to a lot of really dangerous conditions: hypertension, osteoporosis, and cognitive decline. So the best way to protect seniors as well as children in all age groups is especially to test water periodically for any amount of lead.